You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. Tomorrow, Donald Trump is using white racism. That's what he's doing. Racism against African Americans as a campaign strategy. It is abundantly clear now after his weekend of tweets attacking Congressman Elijah Cummings and the city of Baltimore, saying that the city is far worse and more dangerous than the southern border. He went on to call it a disgusting rat and rodent infested mess. The city of Baltimore fought back when CNN anchor Victor Blackwell, a native of that city, expressed what the whole city felt about Trump's racist attack.
Well, you know, the president...
Infested. That's usually reserved for references to rodents and insects, but we've seen the president invoke infestation to criticize lawmakers before. You see a pattern here? Just 2 weeks ago, President Trump attacked 4 minority congresswomen. Why don't they go back to the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Reminder, 3 of them were born here. All of them are American. Infested, he says. A week before his inauguration, January 2017, Congressman John Lewis should spend more time on fixing and helping his district, which is in horrible shape and falling apart, not to mention crime-infested. Donald Trump has tweeted more than 43,000 times. He's insulted thousands of people, many different types of people. But when he tweets about infestation, it's about black and brown people. The president says about Congressman Cummings' district, that no human would want to live there. You know who did, Mr. President? I did. From the day I was brought home from the hospital to the day I left for college. And a lot of people I care about still do. There are challenges, no doubt. But people are proud of their community. I don't want to sound self-righteous, but people get up and go to work there. They care for their families there. They love their children who pledge allegiance to the flag, just like people who live in districts of congressmen who support you, sir. They are Americans, too.
In fact, numerous folks over the weekend were tweeting "Stand Up for Baltimore," responding to the comments of Donald Trump. Congressman Elijah Cummings, he also fired back, saying that he not only knows about the issues in Baltimore, he actually goes home every single night fighting for his district. Now, here's how all of this stuff started. Kim Klachik, who you often have seen on this show, actually haven't seen her in a while because she got a little miffed because of a photo that we used of her on social media. So she said, "I'm not coming back again." Well, she, of course, is a black conservative out of Baltimore. Well, she went around Baltimore shooting some video of trash and row houses, interviewing people who said they did not like the conditions in Baltimore. Well, Fox News put her on the air. So guess what happened? She was on early on Saturday morning. Donald Trump saw her video on Fox News discussing Baltimore. Voila, what does he do? He attacks Congressman Elijah Cummings. But also, why is he attacking specifically Congressman Elijah Cummings? Because he is chairman of the House Oversight Committee. What are they doing? They're investigating Donald Trump. He's upset because Congressman Cummings was also extremely tough on the head of the U.S. Border Patrol. Folks, that's what's going on here. What's also at play, though, is Donald Trump targeting white voters. What he desperately needs is to gin up the issue of race because that is music to the ears of his white, low education voters, specifically white men. Why do we know that? Today, he decides to attack the Reverend Al Sharpton, calling him a con man and blasting him. Do you see the strategy? Donald Trump attacked Congresswoman Maxine Waters, low IQ, attacking Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. John Kelly, as chief of staff, did so from the podium. Then, of course, he attacks Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, member of the CBC. He attacks Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, member of the CBC. He attacks Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Latina. He attacks Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, Muslim from Detroit, who took the place of Congressman John Conyers. We could go on and on and on and on and on with this, but that is what you're dealing with when you talk about Donald Trump. Ron Brownstein of The Atlantic had a story where he broke this thing down, where he talked about Donald Trump and what he is doing and said he is clearly and targeting white voters, knowing full well that these issues appeal to those white voters in a very unique way. I want to go to my panel. Joining me right now, Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver, political analyst at George Jefferson Nuri, communication strategist, R.C. Maxwell, Republican strategist. R.C., I will start with you. Again, you have some Republicans. It's very interesting, R.C., how quiet a lot of Republicans have been. Take Mark Meadows. This is the man who, when he felt aggrieved by being attacked by Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, he thundered, Congressman Elijah Cummings is one of my dearest friends. It's amazing, R.C., that Mark Meadows has said nothing about Trump's attacks on his dear friend Elijah Cummings. What's going on here?
Well, what's going on is you see the president finally standing up for the contemptible conditions that black residents in Baltimore are living under. Let me read a couple of stats for you. Since Friday, there was 13 people shot, including a 12-year-old boy who died. Furthermore, you can smell the rats. That was an exact quote made by a former mayor of Baltimore, Catherine Pugh. Furthermore, in 2017, there was a film literally called Rat Film. What was that about? Baltimore and their rat infestation. So despite the attempts by people in the media to try to caricature these descriptions from the president as racist, what they are is they're actually a depiction of reality. And I think that you did a little bit of justice finally mentioning Kimberly Klachik. She was the woman who even brought this issue to a national front, a black woman, a Baltimore resident standing up for her people. So it's not racist for the president to talk about these positions. In fact, the only thing that's racist are the Democrats who refuse to do something and lift a finger to help these issues. Did you know, Roland, that it took 3 days for Baltimore city officials to remove 3 Confederate statues? 3 days. That's all it took.
RC, let me ask you a question.
You would think that they would do something to remove the trash.
RC,
so that's what I think.
RC, you can overtalk, but it's not going to work. Let me ask you a question. What do you make of Jared Kushner being one of the largest slum lord owners in Baltimore, and based upon lawsuits saying his Baltimore apartments have been infested with rodents, mold, and maggots? Is Donald Trump going to walk down the hall and tell Jared, clean up those apartments?
I don't think the idea of Jared Kushner owning some properties that have been infested with rats, I don't think that's mutually exclusive with the idea that Democrats have allowed the state to functionally be failed.
Wait, RC. His son-in-law owns rat-infested apartments in Baltimore. So if he is criticizing rodents and infestation in Baltimore, why not tell his son-in-law, go clean up those damn apartments?
Yeah, newsflash, Roland. Everyone who owns property in that area is infested with rats. That's why it's disgusting and it needs to be cleaned up. It's not Jared Kushner's fault.
Why not tell Jared to go fix the problem? He said in his tweet, he challenged Congressman Cummings to fix the problem. Why not tell his son-in-law, fix your damn rat-infested apartments?
I don't think you know how city planning works. If a private owner cleans rats out of his area,
wait a minute.
that doesn't mean that the rat
now you're making excuses.
Is going
you're
to
making
be
excuses for Jared, but you're criticizing black folks. Okay.
I'm explaining to you how the world works. If Jared Kushner was to eradicate rats from buildings, they just return. See,
I need popcorn for this.
Are you saying that
hold up.
That film was made about Jared Kushner's, or was it made about the city of Baltimore? Right? You can play these games with other people, but you can't play these games with me.
RC, you can't criticize. RC, you cannot. RC, you can't criticize rats and trash in Baltimore and ignore a person who owns rat-infested buildings in Baltimore who happens to be the son-in-law. But RC, before I go to Avis, I got to ask you this: could you please expound on Donald Trump's restaurants that have been cited for rats?
You're deflecting from the conversation. This conversation is about black residents in Democrat-ran cities living in rat-infested neighborhoods that have trash just out in the street. This isn't about a restaurant Trump owned had rats in it. This is a joke. This is a joke.
RC, nice try. He was specifically criticizing rat-infested places in Baltimore. His own restaurants in New York have been cited for rat infestation. Is that good or bad?
That's not the conversation. Is it good or bad for black single mothers to be living in rat-infested neighborhoods in Baltimore?
That's not the conversation.
This conversation is about. This conversation is not about Trump.
Oh, not about Trump.
Let me go to Avis. Avis, you got Avis.
Yeah.
Avis, you gotta love this here. You gotta love RC saying it's not about Trump when Trump is the one who started the tweeting about rats and rodents.
Let's even go back before that. Let's even go back before that. Trump was the one who ran on the motto, "Make America Great Again." Last I checked, Baltimore was in America. So why isn't he doing that? Number one. Number two, in terms of Jared Kushner, he has a total of 170 code violations in the properties that he owns in Baltimore alone. That means Jared Kushner is breaking the law. And that's how that world works. I'm wondering what Jared Kushner is doing for his tenants whom he has avoided correcting the code violations that he has to this day, specifically against the laws and the regulations of housing as it relates in the city of Baltimore. You know, it's very convenient. It's very convenient for this president to continually use, I wouldn't even say dog whistles, I would say out and out racist conversation around talking about majority black spaces, whether they be neighborhoods, whether they be entire countries. He has a way of specifically talking about places that only represent people who look like you and me. I would just have to say finally that I am in full support and agreement of the Baltimore Sun's editorial board when they said that I would much rather live among rats than to be one. Be a rat. Because that's exactly who's inhabiting the White House right now.
Roland, let me chime in here.
Joy, go ahead.
Not only do I agree 100% with Ms. Avis sitting right here, but Donald Trump, in the middle of the unrest in Baltimore in 2015, writes that President Obama had a responsibility to go to Baltimore and to help out. He is now president of the United States, and so where is his responsibility? In addition to that, Donald Trump obviously doesn't understand the division of government. It is not the representative from Congress who cleans up the city. It would be the mayor. He also knows nothing about Elijah Cummings. Elijah Cummings lives in that district, lives in that city all the time. He does not have a home in Washington. He goes to Baltimore every day. And for everybody who knows the 7th District, and I'm from Baltimore, everybody who knows the 7th District, his community is on the uptick. He's creating jobs he's helping the mayor of the city create jobs for that community. That is not the community he should be complaining about. Elijah Cummings is beloved and respected in his community because he is on the streets in that community, making a difference in their lives. This is, like Avis said, not dog whistling. This is an all-out holla. You have to vote for me, white people, because I'm going to support your racism.
So, RC, I got to ask you again, since you want to deflect and say it had nothing to do with Trump, how can you criticize rat infestation when your own son-in-law owns those very buildings that are rat infested? Shouldn't he fix the problem? He's the slumlord. He's the landowner. He owns the buildings. Shouldn't it be his job, not the member of Congress, to fix a rodent problem in the building? Or shall you deflect again?
I mean, it's a loaded question fallacy, complex question fallacies, faulty premise fallacies. I can name the amount of fallacies that are faulty that your question is premised on. But Roland, you're a very smart person. You know exactly what you're talking about. Let me add one more thing that I do really want to say. You talk about the Baltimore Sun
Name what I said that was false. No, RC. Name what I just said that was false.
The faulty premise is, number one, that a singular property owner replenishing his neighborhood somehow has an impact on the entire city. Like I said, the Baltimore Sun, that examined editorial board that you talk about, they wrote an op-ed entitled Baltimore's Perpetual Trash.
I have to stop you.
Were they talking about Jared Kushner?
I have to stop you. RC, you're not going to sit here and lie. RC, I do not cut microphones. I do not cut microphones. What you're not going to do, is sit here and lie. RC, this is real simple. RC, this is real simple.
Tangible conversation.
Here's the root of the conversation. I need you to know you're not going to continue. You're not going to continue until I make this point. I don't cut microphones, but I'm going to cut your microphone if you don't stop. If you don't stop, I'm going to cut your microphone. I need you to answer the basic question. Cut his microphone. Cut his microphone. Now, RC, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to allow you to answer the question. What you're not going to do on this show is overtalk me. It's not going to happen. You're not going to overtalk a guest. I'm going to allow you to finish. But what you're not going to do is when I tell you to stop, you stop. Now, answer this question. If Donald Trump wants Baltimore to be improved when it comes to trash, when it comes to rat infestation, why not say my son-in-law Jared is going to set the example by fixing the problems in his building, and I challenge others to do the same. Now you can talk.
Do you think Jared Kushner is a super of this building? Roland, how moronic are you? Jared Kushner is not sitting and managing this building. You know that. This is a problem of the city of Baltimore.
He's a problem of the person managing the building.
Does he not hire people to do that? How moronic is it to suggest that he doesn't have employees that apparently are not doing their damn jobs if he has 170 violations that he has yet to clear from the books? Why is Jared Kushner breaking the law today? Answer that damn question. Why is he breaking the law 170 times? Can you explain why he's doing that? And another question, why ain't America great yet? Because he claimed he was going to make America great again, and last I saw, Baltimore is in America. Why isn't it great?
And time's ticking.
Am I allowed to speak for 30 seconds?
Now you want to speak after you've been talking over people all day. Go right ahead.
30 seconds without being interrupted by a loud black
Oh, now you know how it feels. Now you know how it feels to talk over how people talk over you. Go right on ahead. You may speak after having a black woman talk over you.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, RC. Go ahead, RC.
The city of Baltimore has had exactly 2 Republican mayors since 1920. I don't believe in coincidences.
They have a Republican governor.
Time and time again, it's been proven that when black Americans elect Democrats in their urban communities, they risk institutional failure. Now, find the lie in that statement.
There's a Republican governor right now in the second term.
Find the lie.
Second term Republican governor in Maryland.
You just said yourself, it's the mayor of Baltimore.
Why? Wait a minute. Why can't RC? Why is it the governor fixing the problem? The governor of Maryland could create a task force to literally go into Baltimore and fix the problem. He has the authority. Why is it the Republican governor doing that, RC?
I don't know. He should be. Here's my question. We're talking about Baltimore now because of President Trump. You guys weren't talking about Baltimore in your program, were you?
We talk about Baltimore a lot. We talk about Baltimore a lot.
When's the last time you watched it?
We talk about Baltimore a lot. We talk about Baltimore a lot. Let me tell you this. Why isn't Trump talking about the decrease of the tax base in Baltimore? Because industries there have left and gone overseas. He didn't help with that.
They sure
He
have.
said he was going to bring back jobs to the American city. He hasn't done that. He said that he was going to help with public school education. Then he puts Betsy the boss in place, which strips public school education. He has done absolutely nothing from his seat to help the city of Baltimore or any other major city except sit there and tweet, because basically he doesn't understand the issues. He doesn't understand the issues. He only knows how to talk up here and not about what has to happen on the ground for these changes to happen. He is not understanding his job.
Let me help you out. I got it. RC, let me help you out. We've actually broadcast the show from Baltimore. We've done a town hall in Baltimore. We've talked about Baltimore. Yes, so you're wrong again.
And while you did all that talking about Baltimore, what's happened to the rats?
Donald Trump,
bigger.
Hold
what's
up, wait a minute. Since you're questioning this, RC, has Donald Trump been to Baltimore?
Donald Trump is the president of the entire United States. He's been president for about 2.5 years.
It's only an hour from the White House.
He's getting to Baltimore because the black Democrats clearly don't give a damn about the city.
7th District isn't even a whole
RC, Donald Trump has flown all. Donald Trump has flown all the way to. One second, Joy. Donald Trump, RC, has flown all the way to Florida to play golf. In fact, he has driven to the suburbs of Virginia to play this golf course there. It's an equal distance to Baltimore. Why don't you send him a tweet or an email and say, hey, Donnie boy, why don't you actually go to Baltimore since you got so much to say?
Well, I'm glad you guys are now agreeing that Baltimore is actually a terrible place, despite the video, the very warm video
we're not.
of that CNN anchor.
We're not agreeing it's a terrible place.
Based on the accurate depiction of
No, we're not. We're not agreeing it's a terrible place. The reality is this. There are cities, there are big cities and rural cities. There are towns, there are neighborhoods that need to be improved all over America. In fact, Mick Mulvaney, the chief of staff of Donald Trump, had the audacity to question the poverty rate in Baltimore, even though the poverty rate of the congressional district that he represented was less than 1% of the poverty rate in Cummings district. So if you want to talk poverty, you want to talk how bad communities are, do understand this here. Congressman Jim Clyburn, RC, has an amendment called the Clyburn Amendment, where he wants 10% of all federal funds to go to areas, census tracts, where 20% or more of the people have lived below poverty for the last 30 years. 2/3 of those areas are in Republican congressional districts.
And Roland, let me add that this is not about Baltimore.
Absolutely.
This is about Elijah Cummings and the Oversight Committee.
Absolutely.
This is about black people. This is about Donald Trump shoring up his reelection by signaling the people who he thinks are his base. Who doesn't care, because he thinks if he gets turnout of his base, he's going to win re-election. He doesn't even realize he actually lost the last election. The Electoral College gave him that seat. He lost the last election. So he really doesn't care about Baltimore, because next week it'll be Chicago. The week after that it'll be Miami. Wherever there is a black representative where he can signal his people, I'm with you, far right, I'm with you, Klan, because there's good people on both sides of that argument. This is not about Baltimore at all.
Nope. So again, everybody who's watching, I want y'all to understand, guys like RC are caping for Donald Trump using his racial tweets to gin his base up. The tweets of Al Sharpton serve the exact same purpose. We have seen this game before, and we'll see it again. And the way to shut him up and to throw him out is to mobilize and organize.
And
it's
vote.
as simple as that. All right, folks, back to that Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. Hey, folks, you've heard me talk a lot about MarijuanaStock.org. Why? Because I want to keep you informed of investment opportunities that make sense. We have all watched the growth of the cannabis industry. A recent report by New Frontier Data estimates the global cannabis market at more than $340 billion. And we know that marijuana legalization is sweeping the country state by state. We also know that marijuana has a good cousin, the hemp plant, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all of the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. And they need land to grow all of these plants. Folks, this is rocket science. It's just an incredible investment opportunity, and that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords. And you can get in on the action. My friends at 420 Real Estate decided to do something special for the Roland Martin Unfiltered family. Originally, the minimum investment level was $500. But right now, you can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200. That's right, $200 up to $10,000. Let me recap. This is a $340 billion industry that is still growing. And you can participate with as little as $200. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game and get in the game now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered feed.